because it's like I told you the other day. The greatest thing that ever happened to me was when I found out that I was an idolater. Because here I am, my stupid Jehovah's Witness self, over here, pointing the finger because people are breaking law number 700 or law number 532, and I'm breaking law number 1. I was an idolater.
In the time of Israel and Egypt, that God punished Egypt for the plagues were directly related to the deity, the false deity of the Egyptians, the 10 plagues. The same thing I think is happening to Watchtower. We have to document it. But all of the dogmas and all the blasphemies of Watchtower, they're being plagued right now by it.
That. There's not one kingdom hall in the world that's open, and that is the testimony they're giving to Jesus, to Jehovah.
And he goes, isn't it silly how 8 men can make up the slave, but 3 persons can't make up the Trinity? Mathematically, they always fight on the side of the New World Order, of the left.
Correct.
They always side with progressive, communist, Marxist, Democrat, whatever you want to call it.
So much for Jehovah's Kingdom. Jehovah's Kingdom is being sold to what is it? A farming supply house in Hopeville, California. And so, the Jehovah's Witnesses want to say that they're politically neutral, but you're hypocrites. Everything about you shows that you're a political organization. But you want to give the appearance that you're... Hey, Jesse, what's up?
Hey, Jehovah, wanted to talk to you.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about it. Kind of getting tired of making JW videos. And I was asking you, you think if you're an ExJW, you should make videos?
Well, you know what? I'm glad you asked it. Let's talk about your last video. You cannot live forever on paradise earth. And I really like that angle. And to answer your question, I think the answer is yes. Real quick, yes. And I'd like to expound on it. Why? I know you're going through like a crossroads. Should you make a connect? I noticed that you were a little bit hesitant. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think everybody should be making Jehovah's Witness videos. I think everybody's all hands on deck. I think the question you're saying is, should we continue to beat a dead dog?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I say to beat the hell out of it. Just keep beating it. It's like a ship that's going down in World War II. Just keep bombing that shit out of it. I mean, it's all hands on deck. Every form of Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness, should just keep all the guns of Navarro. Everything. Just throw the kitchen sink, everything down. When you did the video, what kind of feedback did you get on the you can't live forever?
Well, the JWs didn't like it, but a lot of people thought the same thing, and that's the whole thing, a lot of people think the same thing in the Jehovah's Witness world, ExJW world, and then somebody does a video on it.
On what?
Well, whatever. It could be any subject, and it's always the same response.
Okay.
No matter what channel I look at, people say, "Hey, I was thinking the exact same thing."
Well, specifically on that video, this is what I thought. The way you pursued it, was to a physical realm. The physical realm, and you talked about the paradise, and then you gave that movie. You explained about that movie, how they built like a paradise on earth, a physical paradise. But somebody else can make a witness video, a philosophical video on how they can't live. Or a witness can always say, well, no, Gilbert, you don't understand. God's going to turn it in. God's Spirit is going to turn it into a paradise. He's going to use His Holy Spirit to convert this earth into a paradise. So we're not talking about a physical doing of the paradise. Well, that can be rebutted by saying that, well, first of all, Jehovah's Witnesses don't believe in the Holy Spirit. So that's what I mean. The debate has to keep going because the witnesses have put so much false information out there that we have to attack it constantly. And so from every angle, let me give you an example. Matthew 24:45, it talks about the faithful and discreet slave. And the witnesses always say, when we it's back in the 70s, maybe in the 60s and 50s before us, they were saying it was a composite was the slave, right?
Correct.
And all the anointed of the whole world. And it was a very abstract teaching.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody understood it because we didn't have a picture of Anthony Morris. We didn't have a picture of Greeley or all those old anointed people.
Correct.
But now, today, they're telling us, they're teaching that the faithful and discreet slave is the governing body. And Winston from Watchtower Examination, he has a video explaining how the witnesses have always taught that the Trinity, the Jehovah's Witnesses teaching on the Trinity is that three persons cannot be the Trinity. God cannot be God. And Winston explains it real good, very good. Well, 8 persons make up the slave, singular, Matthew 24:45. And he goes, isn't it silly how 8 men can make up the slave, but 3 persons can't make up the Trinity? So the witnesses teach that it's silly to say 3 persons make up God, the Godhead. And they slam the Trinity all the time. But they're telling the whole world that 8 men are the slave. And you have 8 distinctive personalities in the 8 governing idiots, like Mike calls them. I mean, you have 8 complete different personalities making up the slave.
So that's why it's important for every ex-Jehovah's Witness to make videos, because you're presenting a point of view that that you probably never thought about, or other people have thought about it, but it's just never been put out there. What about this thing about Jehovah's Witnesses saying that they're politically neutral? You know how the Jehovah's Witnesses always say, we're politically neutral. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because our brother Joe called me Satan's mouthpiece. He wrote it down in a poem he wrote to me, that I am Satan's mouthpiece. Because I was always a closet Republican, always a closet conservative. I was always a closet Christian, right-wing Mexican, you know. So I was always a right-winger. I was always a believer in conservative values, and living like in a closet life as a Jehovah's Witness, as an elder and everything. And so he kind of outed me, and he called me Satan's mouthpiece. And he said that somebody at the service desk had told him that if you talk politics, that you're demon-possessed. Or it's Satan himself. And they claim that they're politically neutral. And I have always known instinctively that the Jehovah's Witnesses are the most politically connected religion in the world, the most political religion in the world, because they don't even use the word religion. They call themselves an organization. They're not even a church, an iglesia. They're not even an iglesia.
No.
They call themselves an organization.
They will tell you they're not a church, right? The Jehovah's Witnesses will say, we're not a church. But they'll say that Jehovah has an organization here on earth.
Yeah, exactly. An organization. What a godly word. And then they tell you that they're progressive. They're telling you that they're politically connected. They call themselves progressive.
And they link the word progressive. And they link the word progressive with Jehovah. They say Jehovah's Progressive Celestial Chariot.
It's their words. I didn't make this shit up. We didn't make this up. They're the most political. Let me give you an example how they're political. They are a political Marxist, communist religion. Whatever you want to call them. Socialist, Democrat, authoritarian, totalitarian, cult. Whatever the ex-witnesses call it, it's true. An argument can be made. They're anything but. When I was an elder, we had a outline. It said, avoid the spirit of independence. Well, I did everything not to give that talk. Because I had the spirit of independence, and I didn't want to be a hypocrite up there. The spirit of independence. Dr. Fauci talks about that, avoiding the spirit of independence. You can't make this up. The wearing the mask. A couple of days ago, Biden said that it was a patriotic duty to wear the mask. Donald Trump didn't wear the mask. Donald Trump said, go to church. The Jehovah's Witnesses did everything opposite of Donald Trump, and they do everything that Joe Biden tells them. This is mathematically impossible to be neutral. They have chosen sides.
Correct. So the point is not whether if you know what political persuasion you're at. You may be even watching this from another country, and it doesn't matter the politics of the United States. It's just the fact that uh, they lie. You know,
Mathematically, they always side on the side of the New World Order of the left.
Correct.
They always side with progressive, communist, Marxist, Democrat, whatever you want to call it.
But they just don't have the balls to just say it out loud, and they always want to lie and say, "Well, we're not politically neutral." When you are, just be who you. And I think that's why a lot of people, you know, I've noticed when I was a JDub, a lot of people says, "Well, I can't do this." And I go, "Why not?" Because I don't want to be a hypocrite. So there was something there. A lot of people say, "I didn't want to be a hypocrite," and that's what it is. You know, that was their way of explaining how they felt. And so, yeah, the Jehovah's Witnesses want to say that they're politically neutral, but you're hypocrites. Everything about you shows that you're a political organization, but you want to give the appearance that you're not. You know, and that's what a lot of the teenagers would tell us when I was an elder. You know, I don't want to be a hypocrite. Well, it makes sense.
Yeah, and listen, a great majority of I worked in the parking department for like 18 years, and I noticed that every year it got progressively worse with the handicap situation.
Yeah.
The entire religion is handicapped. You go to a district convention, they don't have them anymore because of COVID. And everybody is handicapped. It's a handicapped religion. Being a handicapped religion, can you imagine how many people are on disability?
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine how many people are on SSI? You name it.
Mm-hmm.
On housing? These are people who blaspheme the United States as a nation state, as Satan's mouthpiece, or whatever you want to call it. Gog of Magog, whatever they call it. But then they'll take the government chill. Yeah. And a lot of people who aren't part of the organization, family members, they find it very repulsive. Like here they hate their nation state, but yet they'll take the money.
Yeah, they'll line up. They'll actually line up,
They're the first ones to line up for the money. Mm-hmm. They're all in the government take. Going back to your hypocrisy. So that's why I think it's real important to make the videos, because everybody has a fresh take, a fresh example. In every family, there's a story to be told. Every family out there. On any subject, on every subject, on hate and love, on redemption, on the shunning policy. I imagine that every family has a tragic story of maybe suicide or just a hate that the family has of the shunning policy.
Correct.
So yeah, that's why I think you can't give up. It has to be pedal to the metal. More videos, and I think that as we fall, I think me and you have talked about it a lot. Like I had read that in the time of Israel and Egypt, that God punished Egypt for the plagues were directly related to the deity, the false deity of the Egyptians, the 10 plagues. The same thing I think is happening to Watchtower. We have to document it. But all of the dogmas and all the blasphemies of Watchtower, they're being plagued right now by it. They're being plagued right now by it. And I really think that maybe Armageddon should have already come if it wasn't for the Watchtower lying so much. Maybe God says, you know what? Just to prove these idiots wrong, I don't want to be associated with it. But they're being plagued by their false teachings. It comes back like their chickens come home to roost. Chickens come home to roost. You know, like take for instance the shunning policy. There has to be a karma. There has to be some kind of payback for the destruction of lives. Look at what's happening to them. They're not being blessed by this spiritual paradise that they preach. They preach the spiritual paradise. How can they have a spiritual paradise when they kick their children out of their house? They're going through spiritual hell. So everything, their teachings are being reversed, almost like a karma is fighting them. Instead of a spiritual paradise that they preach, they're living a spiritual hell. A spiritual hell. And their talk about a paradise has been turned into a bunker. what these videos, I think, serve. They bring light to all the lies of the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. Look, here's another thing. Another teaching that they live is paradise earth. You can live forever on paradise earth. Everybody who preached that book in the 1980s, everybody is dead.
Mm-hmm. It's come back to haunt them, like the plagues of Pharaoh.
Tell me that's not karma.
Yeah.
The truth that leads to everlasting life. Who did you study with that book? That book with the truth. They're all dead.
They're all dead.
Now, when we were little kids, who did we study from Paradise Lost to Paradise Regained? Who studied that book with us?
Yeah, Rojas.
They're dead.
Rojas fought in Japan. He's dead, and his son is dead.
And who else
2 generations.
that night
Yeah.
before we went to sleep?
Yeah, they're all dead.
Mom and Dad.
Yeah.
Everybody who preached that book is dead. So that is how they're being plagued. There's plagues falling on the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society from their own teachings. The blood policy, there's going to be a plague for that. The shunning policy, there's going to be a plague for the destruction of families. The Watchtower is going to suffer plagues for that. The check this out. Their hate for the nation state.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the leading rebels, Marxists in the United States, are ex-Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yeah. Yeah, Black Lives Matter. Patrice Cullors or something her name is.
I don't know who it is.
She was a Jehovah's Witness. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It comes back in every form. The blood issue is going to come back and haunt them. All of the blasphemies that they did in the name of God. I'll give you another. They talk about God's Holy Spirit. They blaspheme the Holy Spirit when they called it the active force.
Mm-hmm.
Just by calling it the act, they don't qualify as a religion. So every ex-Jehovah's Witness should be very confident that these people have nothing to be feared, nothing to be respected when you're talking about religion or when you're talking about history or facts or debating Jehovah's Witness. These are people who already blasphemed the Holy Spirit. They already dug their own grave.
Yeah, it's the emperor has no clothes. You know, those elders, they have no control over you. You know, they're naked, and you shouldn't fear them. You shouldn't even care what they say about you. Yeah, they are the emperors with naked, that are naked, butt naked, and
now the laws of Christ still apply to us. So we still have to forgive them. We still have to love them and pray for them.
Yeah, pray for them.
You don't have to respect them
Correct.
at all or fear them.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah, you know, you don't have to. Yeah.
To answer your question about your video, when I saw Winston's video, I thought, wow, there's still such fresh information out there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
there's still a lot of fresh. But I think that's what it is. At the end of the day, you gotta not be afraid. And you know, it's kind of like in Star Wars when Obi-Wan Kenobi says, you know, those Jedi mind tricks don't work on me. Yeah, they're Jedi mind tricks, and the gig is up. You know, we know your playbook. We know how you do things, and you know, we're not going to bite. We're not going to participate.
You left Yuma. You live in Phoenix, but so I see these Jehovah's Witnesses every day. So I talk to you about it every day. I see them every day, 2 or 3, and you call me and we are, hey, who did you run into today? Well, yesterday, Friday, I saw our sister, and it was the first time I've seen a Jehovah's Witness out in public without a face mask in over a year. The first time I've seen a Jehovah's, these people run, they live in fear. The spirit of fear that the Bible talks about, these people have a spirit of fear. The first time I ever saw them without a face mask, my sister, in over a year. When I go to Lowe's or Home Depot, when I see them at the store and everything, you never see a Jehovah's Witness at a restaurant. You see them at working or something. I can't tell. Like, for instance, Javier. When I see Javier, I don't know if it's an Islamic person wearing a burqa. I didn't even, I couldn't even see his bald head because they cover it. All you see is the little beady eyes. and you recognize somebody by the way they walk, because when you're familiar with them for 40 years, you know their walking mannerisms. But that's how much fear they have. You can't even see their faces.
Correct. And Jesse, just real quick, Christians in the news, all you have to do is type it up. Christians in the news are going to jail and are fighting police officers. They're fighting the law to open their churches, and they're putting everything on the line. And Jehovah's Witnesses, their testimony of Jehovah is, we will never return to the Kingdom Hall. Think about that. There's not one Kingdom Hall in the world that's open, and that is the testimony they're giving to Jesus, to Jehovah. The Jehovah's Witnesses are witnessing that their servants are afraid. Jehovah's people are afraid. Meanwhile, Christians are risking going to jail, just so that way they can meet. And
this is what I was telling you about Israel and Egypt, the plagues, the 10 plagues. I think if somebody could document the plagues that the Jehovah's Witnesses are going through, that's another plague. They call themselves, because Isaiah 43:10, Jehovah's Witnesses. So the plague, what would plague naturally be? That they don't give a witness. Everything is opposite with these witnesses. They preach a spiritual paradise, they got hell on earth. They preach paradise on earth, they're living through hell on earth. They preach that they're Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't give a witness.
How about this one?
How the plagues are falling upon them?
How about this plague? Nathan Noor declares that the meeting places are called kingdom halls. They represent the kingdom. And now the kingdom halls are being sold for a profit, and they're being funneled into a international corporation.
Correct.
So much for Jehovah's kingdom. Jehovah's kingdom is being sold to what is it? A farming supply house in Hopeville, California. Jehovah's kingdom was bought out. Jehovah's kingdom here on earth in Hopeville, California was bought out by some farming supply company.
The Kingdom Hall.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? I don't think they're going to sell the Kingdom Halls in Yuma. Can I tell you why I don't think they're going to sell the Kingdom Halls in Yuma?
I don't know, but the one in Avenue A would make a great Starbucks.
But you know why they won't sell them?
Why?
You know why. You and I.
Oh, probably, yeah.
But because I picketed at Avenue A, because they know if they sell the Yuma, they're going to be ridiculed. It'll be too blatant. Too many people say, wow, man, those guys have a point. They're just selling the Kingdom Halls for profit.
There you go, Watchtower. Try to sell a Kingdom Hall in Yuma, Arizona, so everyone can see that Jehovah's kingdom is so strong and so powerful and so influential that you're going to turn it into a Starbucks. So much for Jehovah's house.
No, I don't think they would turn into that. I think they might turn it into like a multifamily housing. Because a lot of property there is multifamily housing.
Correct.
Like for agricultural workers and stuff like that, yeah.
See, that's the whole thing. The Avenue A Kingdom Hall in Yuma, Arizona is zoned, and it's perfect for Jehovah's Witnesses to take care of the elderly in their community. But guess what? They're going to sell it to some other company who's part of Satan's organization here on earth, and they're going to do the job that Jehovah's Witnesses never can do. They always, like the last video I said, it's all talk, man. It's just all talk and no action with these people.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And they're being plagued by their teachings. They're being plagued by their teachings. Mm-hmm. It's like the frogs, the gnats, all of the plagues on Egypt are coming home, and they came home towards Egypt. Same thing with the Jehovah's Witnesses. Like their teachings of that they would all have houses. They don't have houses. They have government housing. That they will all have jobs. No, they don't have jobs.
And listen, and there's nothing wrong for living for those of you who are in Yuma, Arizona, there's nothing wrong, and you shouldn't be embarrassed if you live in a mobile home on 5th Street. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses in the Spanish and English live there. You know that, and I know that. You shouldn't be embarrassed to live in a single wide. But the point is that after 20, 30 years of physical labor, you would think, right, that you would be able to have yourself a nice little property, a place that you can call yours. But it's you. There's the reason all of those Jehovah's Witnesses live there is because they were conditioned. See, they stole your wealth. They stole from you.
Yeah. See, this is why the video is so important. Yes, you can look at it through that dimension, but I don't look at it through that dimension. Yeah, I agree and I honor what you're saying. But what I'm saying is the blaspheme to talk bad about every religion, to call it the worldwide empire, the Babylon whore, all the teachings that they taught against Christianity, all the teachings they taught against the Christian churches in our neighborhood, in our family. And then none of their prophecies come true. The inverse comes true. For example, the paradise earth teaching. They're seeing a decay. They're not seeing paradise on earth. They're not seeing that. What they're seeing is that their earth is being diminished. What they're seeing, their wealth is being diminished. They're not seeing this great paradise that they promised. And then they're looking around and everybody's dying of old age. And not only that, like Galleros, for example, he doesn't even have nowhere to sleep. He dedicated his life as pioneering. He has nowhere to sleep. And the elders aren't going to buy him an apartment. You know what? When I was an elder, I took the presiding overseer and another elder, and the guy was in depression. And I told the presiding overseer and Danny, I took the Galleros to the back room. He was a pioneer, and I tried to explain to them that he was upset and angry because he was homeless, and because he wanted their house. He coveted the presiding overseer's house, and he coveted Danny's house. They couldn't understand that he was upset because he didn't have his. He had preached his whole life about a paradise earth. Now he was an old man. He had nowhere to put his head at night. He's homeless. And he felt cheated.
Of course he felt cheated because, Jesse, Galleros is a perfect example. Here's a man who is who's a Jehovah's Witness pioneer. They set him up like, oh, you're a pioneer, you're a pioneer. One, you don't know how to read in Spanish. You don't know how to read in English. You speak broken English, and he mumbles a lot in Spanish. So this guy is illiterate, and this guy doesn't know how to read anything, and yet he's going door to door telling people about Jehovah and the Bible, and he doesn't even know how to even read the Bible, and yet he's paraded around as a pioneer. I mean, and then this guy, he's destitute, and then of all people that are taking care of this guy, it's a worldly person, a person that was never a Jehovah's Witness, is looking out for him.
Right. Yeah. And so that's what I'm saying about. I know what you were saying about how they stole their wealth. Yes. But it's more than stealing their wealth. They perpetuated a lie. They participated in the lie. Now, did they do it willingly or wittingly, or did they do it in ignorance? That's not the point. The point is they haven't come clean and said, you know what, I knocked on everybody's door here in this neighborhood. I was wrong. I take it back. You know, like for instance in America, like Bill Clinton. When Bill Clinton, what did he do after he got caught with his indiscretion? Did he say, at least he went to confess, and everybody forgave him. Yeah. That's all. That's all you have to do. He did something dirty. He said, in fact, I did have a relation. Okay. And everybody accepted him back. Because that's what we do. But witnesses don't do that.
They don't. They will not confess to their lies. And the answer is always the same. Every time you confront a Jehovah's Witness on a lie, they say, well, that was the light that we had then. No, Jesus is the light, stupid. And they always blame somebody else. It's just like the Adam and Eve complex.
They're confronted with the fact that they're all dying and paradise earth hasn't come. They come up with the lie, this is the greatest life ever.
Yeah. And they blame somebody else instead of themselves. And because they can't do that, because they can't just say, I was a liar. Because you can't say, yeah, I was lying, you'll never learn the truth about the truth. You'll always be a dumbass Jehovah's Witness. You'll always have your head in the sand. Because it's like I told you the other day, the greatest thing that ever happened to me was when I found out that I was an idolater. Because here I am, my stupid Jehovah's Witness self, over here, pointing the finger because people are breaking law number 700 or law number 532, and I'm breaking law number 1. I was an idolater. I was an idolater. And you know what? It was such a relief to know, oh my God, I'm an idolater. I was so happy to finally understand what it meant to be an idolater. And I was an idolater, Jehovah's Witness. And that was the best thing that could happen to me, coming to terms with my, that I was sinning sin number 1. Who gives a shit about sin number 700 or sin number 2000? I was sinning the biggest. So here I am, looking at other people, pointing the finger, but never looking at the 3 fingers pointing back at me. That I was way more guilty of the people that I would look down upon.
Right.
The greatest thing that ever happened to me was learning that I was an idolater.
And you know what? And another thing is that I always thought about the reason you have to always talk about the Jehovah's Witnesses. And you could do it lovingly. You don't have to get violent. Like I get in a fight with a lot of elders, but I feel that's my responsibility. I don't fight with the publishers, but I fight with the elders, and that's my responsibility because I served as an elder for so long.
Yeah.
I feel like it's my duty because the kids that committed suicide, they can't do it. So it's up to us elders. The circuit overseers aren't going to do it. So us ex-elders have to do it. Mm-hmm. But anyways, the preaching of the paradise coming on this earth, well, they did it in the context of messing up the neighborhood by saying that the United States or the nation state or whatever country you live in is Satan's organization. And so hate was preached in the neighborhood. Now, I'm not saying they did it organized rebellion, but it had the same effect that you have people hating on their country. That's not a healthy thing for any nation on earth. It's not healthy for any nation, for its citizens to be condemning their nation. It does not build a better neighborhood. It does not build a better city. This does not promote healthy families. When you're saying that any country is Satan's organization, I think the witnesses are they're going to have to pay for that. Somebody has to pay for that. They contributed to a decay in the nation state by preaching that the nation states are Satan's organization.
Yeah. And just
I don't hear nobody talking about that. But as a kid, I always knew instinctively. Do you remember when you were in Tucson and you were doing that video and you were asking people if they love America and that little kid told you no?
Yeah, the kid said no, in Tucson.
Now, I would gather if you could survey everybody in that Tucson hall, they would have all told you no.
Yeah, no.
They hate their country. But they'll line up and get Section 8 housing, they'll get food stamps, they'll get
stimulus.
Like you said, we're not knocking the welfare state. That is a great provision the United States offers. But when they're hating their country but then lining up for the benefits, that does not promote a healthy country.
Yeah. And I just want to say one thing about because it's already 30 minutes, but if you're watching this video and you haven't decided to make a video, you got to understand that I've told you, Jesse, how Jesus says the first will be last, last will be first, and also there's certain people that are not worthy. You don't, every once in a while you'll get a diamond in the rough, like Raymond France, who wrote a book and he spoke about his experience, but you don't see. Like look at, for example, John Cedars and Mike and Kim. They were low-level elders, ministerial servants. They, in the organization, they were just, peons, right? Like all of us. But where's the circuit overseer? Where are the district overseers? Where are the missionaries doing, the heavy lifting? They're not doing the heavy lifting. The women are doing the heavy lifting. The Mike, I guess, was a ministerial servant. Lloyd was an elder for a very short period of time. So it goes to show that that it's better this way, because Jehovah's Witnesses, all of the people that had their fame and their 15 minutes of fame and all their glory, the titles of circuit overseer, district overseers, it's like they're not allowed to be part of the apostate movement. You're not allowed to have the privilege of being an apostate and speaking out against, this kind of tyranny, this kind of cult. And it's you. I do believe that Jesus is, Jesus was right when he talked about how the first will be last and the last will be first. That he's given the women the great privilege to do the job that the governing body can never do. He's given the job to sinners to preach the truth about the truth. And I for one find it very fascinating that all of these circuit overseers, district overseers, Bethelites, and all of the people that are connected up there in Wallkill, and supposedly you guys leak information. But you guys, you know what? You guys suck, because even though you leak information, you still suck, because you don't have the privilege that the lowly of the low have. And so, you see these videos of these young kids, and they tell stories, and a lot of them went through hell in life, and they sinned, and you could just see the things that they went through, and yet God found it. No, but Jesus found it that they would be worthy, and not the self-righteous, people up in headquarters.
Jesus set the rules, the parameters for speaking out, and Raymond Franz followed it.
Correct.
Jesus says, "Pick up your cross and follow me." Jesus talked about the narrow path. Jesus talked about the 144,000. If there have been trillions of people, or billions of people that have lived on the earth, why is there only 144,000? Because there's only one Raymond Franz. There's only one Lloyd over there where he's from, his congregation. There's only one Mike in his congregation. There's only one you in your congregation.
Yeah.
That means that the road of the apostasy is the hard road. Jesus says, "Pick up your cross and follow me." That's what he was talking about. A lot of people talk about the 144,000 is the 144,000 is that. No, I'll tell you what the 144,000. It's a select group of followers of Christ.
Yeah.
That do the work that nobody else can do. Look, who can do the work Raymond Franz did?
I can't.
Very few, man.
Yeah.
You can?
No, I can't, but I could run for governing body, and I went through hell with that, but I kept on, and but I proved my point. And people accepted it. They go, "Yeah, Gilbert, we understand what you're saying," and I remember, just real quick, down here in Texas, right behind me, I'm looking way down there, right there, and this one guy, he learned the truth about the truth. Long story, he lied to his family, and he told them that he had to work, but he was really going to sing in a play for Jesus Christ Superstar. So his family goes to the convention. He thinks he's going to catch up and learn what happened at the assembly. So he says he ran into me, and he ran into Cedars, and he says that weekend he binged on both of our videos, and he just learned the truth about the truth. And then later on, he told his mom, "Mom, look at this guy." He goes, "He's running for governing body," in Spanish, right? And she goes, "Que bueno, que bueno." She was all happy that somebody was running against, because she learned the truth about along with them. But she was all happy. So that was the whole point, is that they realized that, who the hell do these people think they are, that they're the only ones that can have power? The power hungry men. And so, when he told me that, I knew, hey, the work was done. I did the work. People connected the dots, even though they didn't understand it, or they thought it was stupid, they connected the dots. They understood the point.
The interesting thing about Jesus Christ, and the thing I love about Jesus Christ, is that the story of Jesus Christ is that no matter when we think we have the answer, with Jesus we're always wrong.
Yeah.
And it's so majestic the way he explains, like the taxation issue. Or who is the faithful and discreet slave? Can you imagine the Jehovah's Witnesses have all the answers? And when we die and you meet Jesus, he's going to tell Anthony Moore, "Hey, who is the faithful and discreet?" "Oh, I am." He goes, "Here, let me see that verse." He says, "How can 8 men be one?" Yeah, he's gonna correct, and that's the thing about Jesus Christ. He was always correcting everybody, and so some something that is so complicated is easy with Christ.
Correct.
And something that is so easy is complicated.
Yeah.
Everything. Like, for instance, I told you about that elder who came to see me when you had made the video on Anthony Morris. I mean, on what's that guy's name? Jeffrey Jackson.
Jeffrey Jackson.
And the city overseer was crying. Hey, Gilbert lost his mind. Why did he attack that little brother? And I told him, I told him that he was in the Australian Royal Commission and everything. But I told him that he has to repent and accept Christ before he dies. And he told me it can't be that simple. It can't be that. He rejected Christ, just like they do with just like they reject Christ in the memorial.
That's the whole point.
Something so
simple. Everything's simple. Jehovah's Witnesses make complicated. And everything that's complicated, Jesus makes simple.
Exactly. And you know what? Like the worldly people, we say the worldly. It's like that John Lennon song, Instant Karma's going to get you.
Yeah.
Because they're playing with such blasphemous verses. They're playing with, think about it, Gilbert. They call the Holy Spirit God's active force. Do they not know they're playing with super fire?
Yeah.
They're playing with every Jehovah's Witness' eternal life. And we were part of it.
Yeah.
That's why you had to get the heck out of there. And see, that's what I was saying about every witness, every sister who's out there making videos. They're the ones putting their butt on the line.
Yeah.
It ain't the circuit overseers. It's not the missionaries. It's all the low-level guys.
Yeah.
All the low-level sisters that are getting beat up.
Yeah. And
you
good.
Got letters. You got sisters. You got letters to write you from sisters from different parts of the states.
In the world, yeah.
How scary it is what they're doing.
Yeah. God bless them, and yeah. But you know what? When all those women do the job, whether you agree with them or disagree with anybody, or whatever you feel about people,
they're the ones sticking their neck out.
Yes,
their families.
yes, the ExJWs.
Destroyed in their marriages, and they cannot put up with it.
Yeah,
that's bravery right there. That's what Jesus says. You pick up your cross and follow me. They're losing their families. They're losing their minds.
Yeah.
The witnesses are a scorched earth religion. They're destroying people's lives all over our country, all over our planet.
Yeah. Not one family has been unaffected by this. There's not one family has not been suffered because of this religious cult.
Our family was destroyed because of it.
Yeah. Hey, just real quick, because we're almost getting to 40 minutes. Up on the screen on the top corner here, where you would normally see Washington and Oregon State, we have for the hard of hearing the sign language translators, and a lot of ExJWs don't understand. One, they don't understand satire, and you gotta get cult members have a really hard time loosening up. But what do you say about those that do not like our sign language translation?
Well, Garrett Morris was the greatest translator of all time for the hard of hearing.
Yeah.
Generalissimo Francisco Franco is still dead, and it's called sense of humor.
Yeah.
And you gotta have a sense of humor.
Yeah.
You gotta have a sense of humor at the end of the day.
Yeah.
What did Jesus say? I don't know, because everybody says that Jesus was not a sense of humor. But what is straining the gnat and gulping the camel?
Yeah.
Isn't that a form of humor or satire or irony?
Yeah, or the head of a camel through a needle's eye. Yeah. I bet you money people were laughing when they heard that. Yeah.
Yeah. Or not only that, but it was an irony, and it puts you to think.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's irreverent. Well, that guy in the corner over there by Washington and Oregon, I don't think that's irreverent. That's just flat out.
And we got to understand that this is Watchtower. Watchtower really did this. Watchtower really, and those guys in LA, they actually did the job to make sure that Watchtower censored the original, but they were able to save the original and duplicate it to a T. And so that really happened under a Watchtower sign language congregation. So that's why we have it up there. Yeah.
That and the fact that it nails down Watchtower doctrine pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Gilbert.
Okay, I'll let you go.
Well, that's what I wanted to share with you. That yeah, all those videos are important, and if you can link that 8 that Watchtower examination talks about.
Okay.
The real neat video. All right, Gilbert. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.